If you'll bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for the treasure of miracles. May miraculous healings occur and good health be granted. May your loving care be bestowed upon us, and we look to you for all things. May we have courage and strength to do your will and the wisdom to make the best decisions for the future of our city. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a couple of presentations tonight. I'd like to call on the representatives from the organization Just Serve. If they would come forward, please. This is an organization, I believe, that met with Mayor Mercado a while back, and he and I had a brief conversation about it, and we wanted to invite you here to share with the council and the public what it is you do. So welcome to the Hoover City Council, and we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Most of you were able to get a pamphlet and a handout. You can follow along if you want. We have a QR code right there that will pull up the website. You can follow along with us here. Okay. Where is it? Okay. So Just Serve is a national and international website and app that has been gifted to communities all over the country. The best part is that we get to kind of introduce it to you all here in Birmingham. It's a proven concept, and it's been very successful in other cities throughout the country. The great thing about Just Serve, it's built for nonprofit, faith-based organization, and government organizations. It is a place for them to put their organization needs and organization volunteer opportunities for the community to be a part of. A great thing about Just Serve is we are also part of the Jefferson and Shelby County VOAD team. And so we get to sit with organizations such as the American Red Cross, Salvation Army, United Way, and we get to help create projects that the community can get involved with and help during natural disasters. And so a couple of really great features is we do have a natural disaster link, and it shows all the disasters within the country, and we have one here in Alabama. There are many organizations that have posted opportunities for the community to get involved with and help serve. We also have our cleanup link for those to call for help as well, those that have been affected by the tornado. The great thing about this is organizations can have a free web presence where they can have another opportunity to, another web presence, and they can post and connect all their social media links to their page. We also wanted to provide the Hoover City an opportunity to have their own organization page. And we showed this to Mayor Mercado. There's a lot of organizations that have posted. So this is kind of what a Hoover City page would look like. We want organizations that are under the umbrella, such as Hoover City Parks and Facilities, Hoover Schools, Hoover Fire Department, etc., to have their own organization page and to be able to present to the community volunteer opportunities that you have. Right now, we have posted some of the Aldred Garden opportunities that are continuous, New Horizons, and the Hoover Met that is hosting the vaccine site right now. There allows the community to go and volunteer and help with those. So there's just really great opportunities for the community to get involved with. Another one that I see being a really big help for PTOs, anybody that's a part of the schools, teachers, to post their opportunities to post their needs for their school in their classroom. You know, there might be people in the community that don't have students at that school, but they would love to help out and help that school out in their community. So it's just a really great tool Jill, can you go? I don't know if it goes back on the city page. So my son's third grade teacher, go to organizations, decided to let me put up their classroom needs. And so I want to show you how easy it is for the community to go in and help Miss Sherman's third grade class at Deer Valley. Right.
There we go.
Hoover City, yes. Is this it right here? Okay. Let's go down to schools. So we envision every school to have their own organization page that can be run by the city PTO or the school administration. So here's a few things that are coming up at Deer Valley Elementary School. Cheetah for Change is something that the school is getting involved with, and Miss Sherman's class. So it would be another way for teachers to be able to post their needs, the schools to be able to post their needs, other nonprofit and faith-based organizations to also post their needs. I see it as a great tool to get not only those organizations involved, but we have really reached out to for-profit organizations. They've been using Just Serve as their community outreach efforts. And we have seen the excitement that's been going on in the city where we're getting a lot of for-profits getting involved with nonprofits. And so, again, it's just a great tool that we can use in our community to bring us closer together and serve one another. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions? Would you be entertaining any questions the council or mayor may have?
Sure.
Mr. President, I have one.
Yes, sir.
Can you speak on how do you vet the organizations that are on your site?
So they are going to be a 50c3 nonprofit. And then the church organization, obviously, that's the main thing that we have, is that they have to be affiliated with that. And so we do have a lot of churches that will post their outreach efforts. And then the smaller nonprofits that don't really get a presence on some of the other volunteer platforms, it's giving them a voice. It's giving them an ability to reach out and reach into the community and reach into the volunteer pool that they would not otherwise get.
Any other questions for the ladies? Very good. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Next, I'll call on Mr. Mike Lewis. I believe you have the Public Safety Insurance Fund presentation.
Thank you. And I really don't have a presentation, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about where we are and how we got here. Last fall, we received a call from Josh Baker with Baker Camp Arnold Capital Management, a business based here in Hoover, wanting to sponsor the Public Safety Insurance Fund for our fire and police. Had not heard of it, did not know anything about it. They graciously invited me and Chief Bentley and Lieutenant Fountain with the police department, came out to their offices here in Hoover. We met with Grant Sullivan, who was one of the founders of the Public Safety Insurance Fund. Came away thoroughly impressed and are grateful for our corporate citizens who are willing to step up and sponsor things like this. And with that, I want to turn it over to those involved. So I'd like to ask Josh Baker and his team to come down, and they'll tell you a little bit more about it.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so just a few cliff notes on it. The PSIF was created in 2001 after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. There's no other insurance policy or, I guess, program in the U.S. that's like it. There's nothing else uniquely set to that. And basically what this is it's a 501c3 nonprofit that pays a $10,000 death benefit to any police and firefighter, as long as they're active, and then a $50,000 AD&D benefit as well, plus retraining of spouses for work, so if they need to go find a job, and also a small benefit for the kids for college. So we met with Grant Sullivan down in Montgomery, actually on a personal planning meeting for his own stuff, and we kind of started diving into a little bit of what his model was and what he did with Sullivan and Wills. And we started talking about the PSIF. I've got a little bit of a military background, so we, dove into where I think things are important that we need to, focus on in our own communities. And we all three live, work, and worship in the city of Hoover. And, we obviously have all utilized for police or fire or whatever, services that they provide. We've all had some type of interaction with that. And we wanted to do something to give back. So we figured out what the actual cost is per officer, and there are 356 officers. And our company is going to cover every officer for the city of Hoover as our thank you, to the city. So we're in the process actually now. Grant's turning it over to us. So we're going to run the entire PSIF for the state of Alabama. He's ready to retire. He's about 80. So he's tired of doing it. So we're in the process of actually moving that transitional phase to Baker Kemp Arnold Capital Management. We'll run the PSIF, but we'll also continue to fund for the city of Hoover as well. And we hope that other municipalities pick up. I know Pelham's picked up since then. No other municipalities in the city have picked up. That's going to be our drive, is to try to just gain awareness in the Birmingham markets and the Huntsville markets. Montgomery's pretty covered. Mobile's pretty covered. Wiregrass areas are pretty covered. It's mainly been a South Alabama thing. So we're excited. We're excited to give back to the community in that respect. So anything you need to add?
It's every single firefighter and police officer, not just police officers.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and we're covering the cost for all of that.
Yeah. Great. Any questions?
Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions from the members?
I just want to say thank you. I know that you kind of passing it off as something not too big of a deal for you guys, but it's quite an investment that you've graciously given to the city and our public safety officer. So
Sure.
thank you very much.
And as noted, we won't receive any compensation or commissions on it. Now we run an insurance investment, PNC practice, but we receive zero comp on this. So it's in its pure form of a 501c3 and will stay that way. So just so there's clarity there, so, but we're happy to do it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we get to our proclamations, Mayor, let me recognize some guests. We're always delighted to have any members of the public visit the Hoover City Council. However, we have some guests tonight I'd like to recognize, beginning with State Representative David Wheeler. David, always glad to have you here. Hoover School Board member Craig Kelly. Craig, welcome. I'd like to welcome back Hoover City Council President Emeritus, Mr. Gene Smith. Gene, glad to have you here. And I have a special guest that was here on Thursday night, and she's back tonight. We didn't run her off on Thursday, but Miss Addie Rigo is here. Addie is a 2020 graduate of Hoover High School and is a current student at UAB. Addie wrote to me last week saying she had an interest in public policy and public service. Wanted to know how she could get involved and visit. I said, well, I know exactly how you can. So she was willing to come spend some time with us Thursday. She's back tonight. Addie, would you please stand and allow us to recognize you too? Thank you very much. Welcome. And also, I think that's him behind the mask. Is that Mr. David Barber sitting there? Indeed it is. Mr. Barber is a former Jefferson County District Attorney. Welcome back, sir. Always glad to have you here. Thank you. Welcome. We now have a couple of proclamations, Mayor. If I could call on you, please. Child Abuse Prevention Month 2021.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate it. I'd like to invite
I got too many agendas.
David Barber to come up. David, John Patterson, Mary Beth Thomas, and Mary Melton. And we'd like to recognize them for the great work they do as advocating for children so that children are in a very difficult situation don't just have to relive that story over and over and over again. And we're grateful for what they do, and we want to recognize them at this time with a proclamation. And Mr. City Attorney, would you please read that?
Whereas preventing child abuse and neglect is a community responsibility that affects both current and future quality of life of a community. In 2020, there were 25,814 reported cases of child abuse and neglect in the state of Alabama, with 10,474 indicated. And whereas child abuse and neglect is a serious problem affecting every segment of our community, and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone in our community. And whereas all children have a right to grow up in a safe, stable, nurturing home, and communities to foster their health, growth, and development. And whereas our children are our most valuable resources and will shape the future of Hoover, whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects for victims of abuse, and whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of the meaningful connections and partnerships created between child welfare, education, child advocacy centers, health, community, and faith-based organizations, business, and law enforcement agencies. And whereas communities that provide parents with the social support, knowledge of parenting and child development, and concrete resources they need to cope with stress and nurture their children to help ensure that all children grow to their full potential. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, nurturing environment. Now, therefore, I, Frank V. Burcato, Mayor of the City of Hoover, Alabama, do hereby proclaim April 2021 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Hoover, Alabama. We pledge to dedicate ourselves to the task of improving quality of life for all children and families and to preventing child abuse.
Mr. President, if I could take just a moment. Thank you, City of Hoover, for your continued support of what we do at Prescott House. It's ironic we're doing it this month. This month is our 34th birthday at Prescott House. So I'm just kind of the name in front of it. This is the real Prescott House over here. These are the ladies that do all the work. Thank you very much.
We're very grateful. Thank you.
Before we go into our next one, I'd like to just recognize the great work of our city employees. Last week when the tornado came through and did significant damage in Greystone Farms and in other areas of North Shelby County. But our employees responded that evening and the next day and continue to do so even today, trying to restore as much normalcy to that area as they possibly can. I had an opportunity to tour again today with Mr. Lyda. There's significant work to be done out there, and we assured them that we're committed to them, to helping them get through this very difficult time. But it cannot happen. Our response cannot happen without great attitude and great workmanship and and just employees that care so much about the city. Our police, fire, and public works just do a tremendous job each and every day, along with and I'll use that as a segue into who we want to recognize tonight. Those are our 911 operators who I'd ask Linda Moore to come up, who is the director of that organization. And this is a National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, and they certainly are on the front lines. And when anything happens, no matter insignificant or no matter how significant, they're the first one to get the call. They've delivered babies, they've fought fires, they've treated folks with diabetes, they've just protected police officers in horrible situations. The list goes on and on and on and on, and you never do see them. So we want to take this opportunity to thank you for what you do at the City of Hoover and your organization, the 911 operators that you have led and been a part of for many, many years. But we'd like to take this time to recognize just that entire industry this evening with a proclamation that our city attorney will read. Thank you.
Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property, and whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Hoover Emergency Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Hoover Emergency Communications Center have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year, now therefore be it resolved that I, Frank V. Burcato, Mayor of the City of Hoover, do hereby declare the week of April 11th through April 17th, 2021, to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the City of Hoover in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe.
We'll now move to the next item on our agenda, and that includes our consent agenda. I would ask the city attorney to please read the items in summary, please.
Item number 6 is the approval of minutes from the March 11th, 2021 work session and March 15th, 2021 meeting. Resolution 6426-21 approves a 050 retail beer off-premises only and 070 retail table wine off-premise only for Spirit Retail LLC doing business as Plenty of Vino located at 1650 Montgomery Highway, Hoover, Alabama. Resolution 642721 authorizes Mayor Burcato to enter into an addendum to the professional services agreement with Atkins North America for updates to roadway plans and right-of-way services. Resolution 642821 authorizes Mayor Burcato to enter into an agreement with Applied Digital Solutions, Inc. for the annual maintenance contract for NICE recording systems, main and backup sites. Resolution 642921 authorizes Mayor Burcato to enter into an agreement with ScreenWorks for a total bid price of $22,000 for a truck-mounted LED video screen rental. Resolution 643021 accepts a bid for medical services for fire EMS bid number 21-03 from Bound Tree Medical LLC in the amount of $102,468.42 and authorizes the mayor to execute and deliver any and all documents necessary to secure said agreement. Resolution 643121 authorizes the mayor to enter into a confidentiality agreement with Playcore Wisconsin, Inc. in the form attached to the resolution. Resolution 643221 appoints Mayor Burcato to be the voting delegate for the City of Hoover to the Alabama League of Municipalities 2021 annual business meeting to be held May 14th, 2021. Resolution 643321 authorizes and approves the deletion of one part-time membership coordinator position at Aldridge Gardens and combines the position to add one additional day and duties to existing part-time position. Resolution 643121 expresses the city's support of the National Computer Forensics Institute in Hoover, Alabama to further train and equip more law enforcement officers throughout the Birmingham-Hoover metropolitan area, the state of Alabama, and the nation to understand, process, and utilize digital evidence in criminal cases. Resolution 643521 authorizes Mayor Burcato to make city assets available to commercial filming projects within the city and to establish a policy for the amount of fees to be charged for the use of such assets based upon the nature of the support requested, and to provide economic development to the city and promote the City of Hoover.
Thank you, Mr. Corley. I would ask any members of the body who would like to remove any item from the consent agenda. For those in the public, these items are considered as one motion and one vote. If there's anyone from the public that would like to speak on behalf of any of these items, please speak up and we'll be glad to remove that item to the regular agenda. Hearing and seeing none, we're open for a motion.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Resolutions carry. We'll now move to our regular agenda, beginning with item number 17, resolution number 6436-21. Mr. Corley.
This resolution declares the weeds and/or grass located at 4547 Highland Crest Circle to be a public nuisance and orders the abatement thereof as provided under Alabama law.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 6436-21.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the resolution. Mr. Martin, any change from our Thursday work session? Mr. Mack, I didn't see you there. Mr. Mack, any change?
No, sir, there's no change. The yard is still overgrown. The photo is taken today.
Very good. Any questions from the membership for Mr. Mack?
Mr. President, I have one.
Yes, sir.
Is this a foreclosure or a bank owned, or is it occupied? Do we know?
It's not occupied, and I don't have any evidence that it's a foreclosure, but it has been empty for a while, according to the neighbors.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the members? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The resolution carries. Item number 18, Resolution 6437-21, Mr. Corley.
This resolution authorizes Mayor Brocato to execute a development agreement with Broad Metro LLC in substantially the form attached as Exhibit A to the resolution.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 6437-21.
Second.
We have a motion and second. We had a good presentation Thursday night, and I know Mr. Lynch is back tonight for any questions that may come up. We appreciate very much the team coming, Mr. Lynch, and presenting to us on Thursday. Any questions from the members on this item?
Mr. President, I would just say, I'd echo what I said again Thursday. I went up there for dinner over the weekend, and I saw the sign and everything. I'm really excited about this Village on the Green concept and what the ongoing development up there. Some really cool stuff.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Any others from the members?
Mr. President, I'd say on behalf of the Hoover Arts Council and the work that Wes and his team has done talking to us about this project, we are very excited about it and excited what this will do for arts in our community.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Posey. Any questions or comments from members of the public before we vote? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The motion carries and the resolution passes. Item number 19, Resolution 6438-21. Mr. Corley.
First, we'll have a public hearing. This resolution authorizes, an incentive payment with Stadium Trace Village by the City of Hoover and Broad Metro. This agreement restates and restructures the development agreement entered into by the city and the developer in September of 2020.
We'll now open up the floor and have the public hearing. Any members of the body that wish to speak at this public hearing? Seeing none, any members of the public who would like to speak regarding this resolution at this public hearing? Seeing none, we will now close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 6438-21.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second for approve the resolution. Any comments or questions regarding the resolution from the members? Any comments or questions from members of the public? Seeing none, all in favor of the resolution say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The resolution carries. That brings us to the end of our regular agenda. We'll now move to the first reading of several ordinances and resolutions and prepare those for potential vote on April 19th, 2021. We had presentations Thursday evening at our work session, and I know some applicants who are here for some of these are here tonight should any questions come up. Item number 20, ordinance number 21-2516, Mr. Corley.
This ordinance modifies the city's emergency transport services regulations as shown in the ordinance.
Item number 21 is Resolution 6425-21. Mr. Corley.
This resolution grants conditional use approval for a drive-up or drive-through restaurant on the property located at 1727 Montgomery Highway, Hoover, Alabama, for Whataburger Restaurants, LLC.
Item number 22, Resolution 6423-21.
This resolution grants conditional use approval for a convenience store or gas station on the property located at 3641 Lorna Road, Hoover, Alabama.
Item number 23, Ordinance 21-2512, Mr. Corley.
This ordinance pre-zones property for a planned unit development known as Everly Planned Unit Development.
I know Mr. Belcher is here. Mr. Belcher, do you want to speak to this item? Or is it? Whenever you prefer. You're welcome to. I know you had a couple of things to add. You're welcome to. All right, thank you. Yes, sir. You're not going to read the entire book, are you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's 290-something pages, I believe. There's no game or anything on tonight, right? So, good evening. My name's Jonathan Belcher, representing Signature Homes. Our address is 3545 Market Street, Hoover 35226. I'm very pleased to share with you and present our Everly PUD tonight. Everly is an 833-acre PUD that's located across from Lake Cyrus on Highway 150 and borders Ross Bridge to the north. The property was recently zoned in Jefferson County. We rezoned it from I-1 or heavy industrial to a PUD that exists currently in the county. Since we completed that county zoning, we entered into an agreement with U.S. Steel that would de-annex a similar sized property in exchange for the annexation of the Everly property. The site that would be de-annexed would be known as, or is known as Trigger Creek, which you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. That's the site that's shown in red. Thank you, Mac. And then the site that is in the light tan color is the Everly. Thank you. On the exit 10, you can see 459 is the interchange that runs through the center of the screen. Exit 10 there is on the right-hand side. The area that Mr. Martin's highlighting is the yellow area for the proposed exit 9 interchange. So you can see the proximity to it, which is essentially an extension of Ross Bridge Parkway. The Trigger Creek property was annexed as part of the Western Pocahontas annexation in 1993. That particular property is entitled currently for 1,944 homes. The property is located at the intersection of Shelby County Highway 52 and Shelby County Highway 13. It basically represents the southwestern border of our city. It's the southwesternmost portion of our city. As part of the PUD proposal, the annexation agreement must be modified to reflect the new zoning. However, at the Planning and Zoning meeting, there was the approval that was made on March the 8th included a removal of the de-annexation requirement. We do not have a new annexation agreement prepared tonight. We do have a meeting with U.S. Steel this week and plan to have a presentation of that amended annexation agreement at the council meeting on the 19th. So whether we need to do an additional first reading or whether that's a second meeting with a continuation, we are prepared to take whatever time necessary to make sure we've heard everything relevant to the proposal. On the next slide, which you see on the right-hand side of the page, that's the overall conceptual site plan. On the left-hand side of the page is our border with Lake Cyrus, which is the southern part of the property. The right-hand side, the entire border there is all of Ross Bridge, in particular the Glascott neighborhood. To the south or to the east or the bottom half of the page is bordered primarily by the two sets of railroads that go through Ross Bridge. And then in the first portion there along the town center is approximately 3,000 feet of Shades Creek that's part of the community. Our proposed plan for the annexation is designed to include 2,344 homes. It preserves over 257 acres on the site and includes that 3,000 frontage feet along Shades Creek. An important feature of Everly is both in the town center and the village center and throughout is we would design it to be a walkable community. Like the successful communities we have in our city today, we see a lot of value in being able to connect and be a pedestrian-friendly community. And there's no difference here. We're just taking the things that we've learned and want to continue to enhance and improve that with this plan that we have. If you would go to the next slide, please. So the next slide is an enlargement of the town center itself. The town center will include up to 444 homes and may include up to 100 multifamily homes. These homes will be limited to 1 and 2 bedrooms. The purpose of those is to design a sustainable rental product that will be woven into the urban portion of the town center. The remainder of the homes that are offered in the town center will be a mix of single family and both detached and attached homes. And The convenience that it'll provide for all the residents of the town center is just immediate access to the park along Shades Creek, and of course, access to the retail and commercial space that's offered in the town center. The commercial portion is designed to include approximately 250,000 square feet. I'm just going to keep going while it's loading here. I know you all have had an opportunity to see it. We've had the page up for a long period of time, so. And the uses that are offered within the town center are the same things that are offered in our city ordinance that are found in the planned commercial, planned office, and planned industrial uses. As comparison, Ross Bridge currently today has approximately 90,000 square feet of occupied commercial space, not including the hotel that's there. So again, we think this is 250,000 square feet approximately. There's roughly 40 acres in the town center that is more designated for the commercial aspect. So it's about 6,000 square feet per acre, which is not a very dense commercial area. We do think if the new interchange is approved and that goes forward, that will have a big impact on the type of uses that are going into the town center. We do have a conceptual plan. I know I shared that with everybody on Thursday night. That's what you see on the right-hand side of the page now. It just gives you an idea of the type of uses. The multifamily units that I mentioned earlier, the idea we have there was they'd be put in a setting like the buildings you see on the bottom there, where you'd see 4-story buildings, 3 stories of residential over a retail or a office use. Generally, you'd see 10 to 15 units in a building. Not really what you find in a typical apartment complex. That's not the intent here. The intent is to create a more urban living lifestyle, which we don't have in any communities in the city today. Our starting point will be our village center. If you would go to the next slide, please. Thank you. The village center is located approximately 1 mile into the neighborhood. We'll start the building here and then work our way back out to the town center. We'll have both attached and single-family homes in this area. There'll be a wide array of home site types. There will be an offering of an age-restricted multifamily product that's here. We don't have anything like it in the city today, but we think the empty nester market is not being fully served with this type of product. And recently we had a project approved in Trace Crossing that would be similar. The intent here was that none of this would be a assisted living type use. This would just be a multifamily age-restricted product, which would not exceed 300 total multifamily age-restricted across the entire community. Our primary amenity for the community will be located in the village center. We would start that at the beginning once we've platted the first phase of home sites that would include this amenity. I know many of you have seen the amenities that we include. This one will be the biggest yet. We're excited about the creation of it, and it will include the normal things you would expect: nice gathering spaces, pool, fitness, and just really be a great place for residents to come together and have community with one another. I mentioned also Thursday just the economic impact of the development. When it is completed, there'll be over $1 billion of infrastructure, commercial and residential buildings that are added to our city with this project. In ad valorem taxes alone, there'll be over $5 million a year to the Jefferson County and $2,250,000 a year going to our school system just through ad valorem. The Trigger Creek annexation required a voluntary school fee of $1,500 per home. We've committed, just as we did in Black Ridge, that we would offer $3,000 per home for all 2,344 units, which would be over $7 million in contributions to our school system. That money's collected at time of building permit. Furthermore, the sales tax that are generated just from construction would be over $10 million for Jefferson County and $17.5 million for our city just for the construction phase. And that doesn't even consider the spending from the future residents and future commercial buildings that'll be established there. So in addition to the economic benefit, there are some other benefits in the relocation of the Trigger Creek residential development. One, today there's no commercial property even planned for Trigger Creek. So we're gaining 250,000 square feet of commercial space with our proposal. With Fire Station 6 there on Highway 150 near Ross Bridge Parkway and Station 10 in Ross Bridge, there's really no reason to add a fire station, therefore not adding those additional annual expenses. From a school perspective, our proposal actually reduces the number of homes from 1,944 to 1,744 that actually could have a child that would impact our school system. The reason for that is because of the age restriction. We've committed to a minimum of 300 of the single-family homes to be age restricted, and no more than 300 multifamily homes would be age restricted, or could be constructed that would be age restricted. We spent a lot of time collaborating with the leaders of our school system. One of the requirements of Trigger Creek was a prepared elementary school site. We've included that as well, which would be a 25-acre prepared elementary school site. We've also, after discussions with the leaders in our school board and school system, they asked that if they had a larger site needed, would we accommodate that, which we've included that in our PUD. We've added an additional 20 acres on top of the 25 prepared acres. That land would be contiguous, so there could be as much as 45 total acres for a school site, of which we would prepare 25 acres of that. As I mentioned earlier, we were very careful in the way we chose the areas that we're going to disturb, which resulted in over 250 acres being preserved. Our city requirement is 20% of tree save area in a PUD. We have 30% in our plan. The Village Center concept that you see on the screen, it is a conceptual plan. As we've been working with our environmental engineers, we've been able to identify in our first phase in the Village Center that will have no impacts to any of the Corps of Engineers streams. We're able to avoid all of those. So, and that's our plan throughout the entire community. That's why we've designed it in the areas that we have. The parks in Everly will only enhance the growing amount of outdoor recreational space that we continue to add to this western corridor of Hoover. Part of this preserved area is going to serve as a 500-foot undisturbed buffer to any of the existing homes in the Glascott neighborhood of Ross Bridge. That's a specific exhibit we have included in our PUD. Furthermore, we have met on numerous occasions with city staff members, and we're able to come up with a traffic solution in regards to Orchard Avenue. If you're not familiar, Orchard Avenue is one of the primary roads going through Ross Bridge and connects several of the neighborhoods, and had a proposed connection in the Ross Bridge PUD to the south, which on the top right-hand side of the page there on your screen, that's our proposed connection there. What the solution that we were able to come up with is that we would still construct the road to that northern border to the property, and then build a gate, turn that gate over to the city. So that way that would be in the city's control. And if at any time in the future the city would like to remove that, the commitment at Planning and Zoning was that a minimum of 30 days or 30-day notice of anyone living within 1,000 feet of that gate would receive public notice so they could speak on behalf of any concerns or request to have that gate removed. So really that covers everything I have tonight. Again, available for any questions that you have. I appreciate you letting me present it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Belcher. Any questions? I know we have a couple of weeks to talk through and consider this more before a potential vote. I understand there may be some changes that could require another first reading, so time will tell on that one. Item number 24, Resolution 6421-21, Mr. Courtney.
This resolution grants conditional use approval for the Everly Planned Unit Development.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Belcher, I think you covered that in your initial presentation. Any questions from the members for Mr. Belcher while he's here for that? Item number 25, ordinance number 21-2513, Mr. Courtney.
This ordinance amends the Black Ridge Planned Unit Development Third Amendment as shown on Exhibit 1 attached to the ordinance.
Very good. Mr. Belcher, I understand you have a couple of points on that as well?
Yes, sir. Much more brief. I don't have an entire book to read on it. Again, Jonathan Belcher, 3545 Market Street, 35226. So this would be the third amendment to the Black Ridge PUD. The primary purpose of this is to accommodate a future road connection that would go from Shelby County Highway 52 and allow for a connection to the proposed new interchange. We've been working on putting pieces together that would accommodate this, and this amendment provides for a width of 180 feet, which is 80 feet for right-of-way, and 100 feet, which would be 50 on either side, to allow for construction easements as necessary to build the road. An 80-foot right-of-way will allow for a 4-lane divided median parkway, which is the same size as what we have on Stadium Trace Parkway now. The reason for the rezoning request, the area that you see shaded in pink is being rezoned to medium density. And that's because of by choosing the location of the road where we did, which was the most direct route, the least impactful to the surrounding property owners, and was the least challenging from a topography standpoint for the construction of that road. Because of that, we have 300 home sites to build in that area, so we are asking for a medium density zoning in that space versus the current zoning that's there now. We don't want to create home sites any smaller than what are existing, but in order to still be able to build the number of homes we had approved for this area, we need some flexibility to be able to reduce that home site size. The original PUD in Black Ridge had medium density zoning, which was the area adjacent to the Brock's Gap shooting range, which is on the other side of the ridge, which is, I think, still formerly called Chestnut Ridge. And we had removed units from that area in the first amendment in Black Ridge to Wilburn, and then we also moved some additional units when we created Abingdon by the river, which is one of our age-restricted neighborhoods under construction. One of the other benefits, obviously, for here is that if the road is able to be built and that connection is made, then future residents of the southern part of Black Ridge will have the ability to go around the gated portion of this, which currently does not exist today. Additionally, this site, presuming that this parkway will be able to handle a fair amount of traffic, we think it creates an intersection along Highway 52 where we have a little over 18 acres of proposed planned commercial space, which previously also did not exist in Black Ridge. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Belcher on the Black Ridge amendment? Thank you, sir. We'll see you back on the 19th.
Thank you.
Item number 26, ordinance 21-2514. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance rezones the properties listed in the ordinance from Hoover R1 Single Family District to Hoover R2 Single Family District to Hoover RLSF or Legacy Single Family District.
We'll have a second reading on the 19th for that item as well. Item number 27, ordinance 21-2515. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance amends the zoning ordinance of the City of Hoover to add the term research and development facilities and to provide for such use within certain zoning districts of the city.
Thank you, sir. That brings us to the end of our regular agenda. Councilman McClinton, I understand you have an announcement on the Board of Education board position.
Yes, next Wednesday, the 14th, we will have interviews with the applicants here at City Hall, starting at 3 o'clock, and they will be notified later tonight and tomorrow of their time slots.
Thank you, sir. I know the mayor mentioned our visit out to Greystone Farms today, and you've heard it said, but I want to encourage our members, truly, you don't understand the gravity of what they're dealing with until you visit it. So I assure you the HOA and residents there would welcome each of you to visit, and I would suggest that in the next 2 weeks, if you have an opportunity to please go. I anticipate we'll be hearing from Mr. Rice and the mayor on some opportunities that exist above and beyond the city services that we can deliver. When I say there's a lot of trees down, there's a lot of trees. And I think there will be some opportunities for us to consider ways to supplement that which the city's already doing. And again, before we consider that, if you could see it for yourself, I think it would go a long way to understanding of what those folks are dealing with. We'll now have a time for public comments. I'll first ask any members of the body, do they have any comments this evening? Hearing none, any members of the public have any public comments they'd like to share? Mayor, do you have anything else? I do. Yes, sir.
Hoover Hazardous Waste Day has been, will be Saturday, April the 17th. We've moved the location from the Met. It's now at the Public Safety Center. The new hours, we've extended the hours, is from 8 to 2 p.m. One thing that we've taken, we're not going to do at Hazardous Waste Day is shredding. We're going to offer that at other different events, probably more than once during the year. So that should assist us with getting the true hazardous materials and the folks that are bringing those, move them through a little quicker. So we wanted to make sure that got out. And John, if you're reporting, please report that shredding will not be accepted at this particular event. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hearing no other comments, we are adjourned.